Anyway, is it working? Yes. No, wait a second. Is it working? First question. Also, why do I have so many Windows tabs open? Uh, wait. No, 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 no. I fucked up. I. It's fine. We thank this. We thank the YouTube stream being fucked up a little bit. Uh, no, no, it's horrible. It's fine. Dice of cringe. Oh, yeah. Anyway, also, how are we doing with the audio? What's up? Test. Uh, Amazingly good. Yeah. We can mute this. No. Yes. Yes. We can close this. We can open this. We can paste this. Mute this. Replay this. Open this. Click here. Open. I love clicking the quick access button and it just fucking for no reason whatsoever following what I'm telling it to. Thank you so much for asking. What? What the fuck is this? Sub for enchanted. What? What? I didn't choose any of this. What are we talking about? Also, we are lying. What's up? What's up? We're actively lying. Okay. Thank you so much, YouTube. Probably one of the few things that can change things around is me not having 20 unnecessary tabs open a lot at the same time. You can get it. I need to have all of them. I need that. We have this. I feel like I'm forgetting stuff. Like I have way too much stuff to. Okay, let me change this. Browse. Let me. Today we go with this image. What is this image? Can't. Okay, it works. Good enough for us. Yeah. Is it at all related? No. In this case, no, not even remotely actually. But don't tell that to anyone else. I know what I'm forgetting. I need to open this and click here and no, this is done. I first thing first. Do you want to send the link to Discord, brother? Yes. Sorry that I forgot. I. Also, yeah, I knew it. Fuck. I need. I have to make a mental note of starting to like intentionally save the usernames of the people that I meet online in terms of when you add somebody. This when you meet somebody, adding like that should be a basic internet rule, and I haven't ever been thought that in any way. Like I don't know how the fuck do you actually get to that conclusion. Like you just don't. You learn the new names that they have or what? Probably, but at the same time, isn't it like more useful to just in the end, like I don't know, if you didn't know me as Lloyd Tupo, right? Will I have the possibility, the right to get angry because you call me Lloyd Tupo, you call me by my other username? I'm not talking about like, yeah, you dox me and you call me my fucking IRL name. Probably, yeah. At that point, I will get angry to some degree, but in without any sort of privacy being disrupted, calling me by other usernames is not really that bad. Like, anyway, point is, yeah, I feel like people just don't tend to in any way value the reality that, yeah, it's quite interesting to not directly say fucking annoying to have to mentally keep a checklist out of every single person that I meet and all the name changes that they do. Mostly also because once again, you don't really care if I call you the newer name or the older username. So the point is what? That you change your username and that's it. Like, what is actually the point if you don't really actually care? And my real complaint comes from the side of, okay, I have somebody that changes their username. I have no fucking clue who I have in front of me now. So, mental note, I should probably start adding that to the list, to the profiles of the people that I meet and such. Yeah, that's, it's not really a goal. I mean, I should do it. Will I actually do it? It takes way too much time. I don't really feel like doing it. I don't feel like doing it. But yeah, anyway. I want to check something. Has the volume of the microphone in any way been tampered with throughout all this time? Like, I think the last time I checked was like middle of July or something. Let me see. Microphone. Hello? Okay, true. 100. No amplification. Yeah. Okay, very good. Supposedly, we should be great. So, I have like 1 minute and a half. Give me that 1 minute and a half. I will be doing something called. I already mentioned that before. Yeah. I will be taking my protein. So, give me a second. Thank you. I will be right here, right back. See you in like 1 minute or so. Probably less, more. Who knows? Okay, we are back here. Good evening. Why is there no... Did they change things? Wait. If I switch this here... No way they were going to actually fix what was broken with OBS. Why would they ever fix it? Yeah, anyway, doesn't matter. We're not here to talk about OBS. For the love of it's fine. It's absolutely fine. Anyway, good morning. Also, why is the volume of the microphone so low? I am speaking minimally well. You cannot want me to just be... I cannot be so focused as to constantly remember to project my voice directly into... I don't have the mental capacity for that. How long have I been streaming? Almost 3 years at this point. I never learned to do that, so don't expect me to do that now. I should, probably. Anyway, that's outside of the point. Point is, yeah, I don't know. Good morning. It is a very good day to be back after 3 days without any other stream. Isn't it like only 2 days, taking into consideration that I did stream on Monday? Probably. So yeah, anyway, point is, here we are. It has been a good handful of days. And, yeah, I don't know, life has been quite a fruitful encounter with the randomness of existence and all the occurrences that entail just being. So we are here enjoying just the act of existing without any other added context to it. So yeah, I don't know. It's nice to be back, and it's good to return. It's not like I actually left, but I don't know. As I always say, it feels like it hasn't really been just a handful of days. Also, what the fuck is this? What? An audible drop. What are you talking about? An enchanted big boy boxers. What the fuck? Okay, whatever. There is an offer right now available where if you gift some subs, no, probably you shouldn't do it. Yeah, give a big corpo your money. Yes, it's gonna be so amazing. No, doesn't matter. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, I know. As I was saying, so yeah, it's good to be back, and yeah, it doesn't really feel like only 2 or 3 days, because as always, it's not, it's not even remotely. Mentally speaking, the sensation of only 2 or 3 days. At times it goes incredibly slow, and at times the things that can happen in a handful of days is so, the amount of things is so wide, so big, that you can more than certainly end up realizing that, yeah, it's way too much, it's way too many things that to feel like they are all, in a sense, just enough to have been experienced throughout those, I don't know, 24 hours, 7 days, the entire 4 weeks and such. So yeah, point is, it has been quite an interesting handful of days, and yeah, finally happy to be back. And I don't know, in the meanwhile, we had, I it's not really bad to say that I hope that it can remain as something far more constant, because yeah, indeed we are now doing semi-regularly like it only has happened 2 days for me, but it seems to be something semi-regular, the whole CTA stuff. So yeah, maybe that is something somewhat recurrent to observe and to expect and such. So that's beautiful, actually. It's not a problem. Like I could set it up. I don't really try to do anything like that myself. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Point is, yeah, we have that happening, and in this particular case, sadly, there is no bot even to recommend checking or anything like that. Of this last session, things happened. Nothing worrisome in terms of, yeah, somebody said a slur, so we have to take the bot down. But it was more along the lines of, yeah, sadly, I don't know, as the previous case that I presented of somebody saying the RL name of someone else, and then thus things getting fucked up because of that. So the bot needs to get trashed. And I don't know, it's not that bad really. But besides that, what else? I don't know. We had our previous stream, which I feel like, as always, if I have to be honest, I don't really enjoy that they are so short, but at the same time, it's not really short. If you have to sit down and listen to all the stuff that I get to say, like, not from the simple perspective of, you don't do your, no. The reality is, I tend to be a way too narcissistic person when I have things to actually talk about. So the situation turns into me speaking way too rapidly, way too incessantly, to a degree to which, in how long it was it, 1 hour and a half or so, it becomes entirely overwhelming, and it's fine enough. I mean, it's not gonna be bad in any way, certainly, but it's way too much, while at the same time being way too little. And I have to admit, I am still completely against the idea of, you know what? You should speak far more slowly as to make yourself far more understandable and whatnot. There is something about the actual understanding of the languages which you utilize and the languages which you listen to and such. And it's the realization that, yeah, you don't have to always just stay at the slowest speed to be capable of following what is being said and what is being talked out and such. It's ridiculizing almost to have the idea that, yeah, you know what, we need to have this thing be so slow for us to work. It's, let's say like this, it's completely idiotic to assume actually that it matters in any way that I have to talk so slowly, because we live in a virtual era in which you have also the tool of, if I speak way too fast and you actually want to follow what is being said, you can just simply put the things at 0.75 speed, and that's it. The problem gets solved nearly instantly. There is no more problem anymore. And in many cases, it's something that I don't know, I feel like it's completely ignored, or the advice for, yeah, remember to talk far more slowly and such, only works when you have the idea of, yeah, you have only, not the terminology will be a live audience, more specifically, when you are face to face with other people, when it's impossible for them to do anything that can actually make their experience of what you are saying far more digestible and such. So yeah, that's when it actually makes sense to recommend. In those situations, in that context, it's completely understandable, but we're not even remotely close to that. So yeah, I don't really like the idea that, yeah, you know what, we have to be subjected to, we all have to go far more slowly. We all have to do things far more simply. We all have to act in such a slow-paced manner, not because we need to, but because it could, in one way or another, serve some sort of purpose which we can all get behind, so to speak. No, it doesn't really matter that much. It's not really necessary. It's not really useful, meaningful in any of those ways. It's completely meaningless in what happens here. So yeah, I don't know. Again, returning to the point. Thus, then, therefore, unavoidably we end up with such short streams, because in a time sense, in a sense of how many seconds pass, unavoidably there is so little happening. But now, if you have to look at how many things are being said, maybe not so little. And as always, like, there is also the other side, the more admissible, more direct reality. Sadly, even if you want to, some ideas don't really have 20 hours to themselves, so you can just try to stretch things beyond the reasonable degree of their own existence. Like, it's not that you can't it's that there is no actual purpose behind doing that here right now. You can do that, absolutely. You can. But one of the most wonderful things to see in the educational systems where you make it so that you adjust to the slowest participant is to see actually how this occurs in terms of, yeah, you know what? We will make sure that the person who struggles the most gets repeated the most, the things that they are struggling with, while what occurs with those who don't struggle in almost any way, you're gonna find out that actually this is incredibly detrimental to your progress, for this is directly impacting your time to do this activity. But it doesn't matter, does it matter in any way? In the end, you're not here to bring out the educational system as a whole, so it's fine. Besides that, I don't know, I had another commentary to say, and I sort of almost forgot about it, but this new weird audible reward and whatnot for gifting subs, I think it is. I don't know what is it for. That seems to be, I don't want to say enforced, but unavoidably it's not something that you opt in consciously. It's something that you're by default already opted into. The big boys pants or whatever it is. I don't know. I was gonna say, like, I had the sudden realization, not when I said it right exactly, but when I was thinking about it. I don't know. I'm a person, certainly I have to admit, I am somebody who spends way too much thinking about the stuff that comes out of my mouth. So one of the many things that I was analyzing was, yeah, you know what? I could do the bit of when I unavoidably, it is sort of a tendency that I am going to get my protein, because in the end I realized in the middle of doing everything else before getting to finally go live and whatnot, the sad realization struck me that I wasn't going to actually have time to do that before being here. Like, honestly speaking, I could do that before being here. But the reality is, we don't really need to start 20 minutes later. In the end, so many other things that could be changed and could be adjusted and could be modified in one way or another can be performed far more previously to the stage of us being here. Yeah, but the reality is, we already have like 8 entire minutes to just sit here before the stream itself properly starts. So, is it really necessary to add so much more delay and add so many more things that just hinder the proper occurrence of this in as a whole and whatnot? And if the final conclusion then becomes that no, it doesn't really matter in any way, it doesn't really contribute to anything, it's not really that meaningful and it's not really that useful. So yeah, we should rather instead end up here, and in that idea of me having to go to take the, what is it, creatine, while we are waiting for things to get done, I was like, yeah, isn't it like a common saying, the whole I am being a properly responsible boy, something like that, right? And as I was thinking out that saying, I had the realization, don't I fucking hate that? Isn't it fucking strange? The incredible alienation of the responsible adult human being. Don't we yearn so much for being adults and whatnot? Isn't it entirely absurd how willingly we infantilize ourselves when it comes to these things? I don't really care. I don't really want to be treated like a little children in any way whatsoever. Even in those sort of properly caring encounters with someone else, I don't really want that to occur. It's not through the transition of a reality and through the experience of being alive from that perspective that I find my joy. Why the fuck is it so common then that we all act like it is fine for that to occur so recurrently? Like most people who I also know, not most people, proper category, most adults that I have gotten to know, be it young adults or properly categorized as adults themselves, I don't know, old adults, whatever you want to call them, in no way want to actually infantilize themselves, but very slowly introducing into society these, I don't know, strange terminologies. And I feel like it's absurd. It's incredibly absurd. But it's, from one hand, obviously it's fine. You literally can just avoid using them, and that's the end of it. But at the same time, I don't know, man. I I still feel like it's not really meaningful in any way. It's not really the whole analysis of, it's not that it's not meaningful, meaning that it is detrimental in its entirety. It's that it doesn't contribute to my existence in a way in which I can realize that if I were to stop for a single second to think about what happens when I do such things, right? So, in the recurrent existence of said events and said performances that I slowly integrate into my life, in the recurrent happenstance of those, I slowly start to accumulate more and more annoyances until it becomes a big enough of a burden that I end up feeling like it is entirely annoying to then finally have to admit, realize, yeah, indeed, there are so many things of this kind that I don't care about at all. The properly, it's not proper. The more, when you hear about performativeness and whatnot within the culture, in the nowadays discourse, when you hear people talk about, yeah, these things are performative and these other things might be, that same idea is what you can find here, but in that proper perspective or spectrum of, indeed, this actually doesn't really contribute to me in any way. I don't really gain anything for just trying to focus on, I don't know, having something that I don't care about, that doesn't really make me any happier. But it doesn't really kill me, so why not just say it? And I don't know, yeah. I feel like along those lines, we have way too many common expressions slowly making their way onto our lives. But I don't know, it's communication as a whole is strange, so it's not like, yeah, this is the final cornerstone to make communication itself far more smoother or anything like that. It's just a tiny observation in the big whole pond of what all of that might in any way be. So yeah, besides that, any other addition? I don't think I have much more to add. I mean, it's like games, a very few things to add to that in respects, yeah, in respect to what might happen and such. I encountered, like, I have no explanation whatsoever. For some reason, I don't know how, I have Path of Excel 5, what the fuck, Path of Excel 2 on my account. So one day we're gonna play that. I don't know how I got that actually. It's crazy to see it being there. I'm happy. I to some degree I dread not knowing, because how the fuck do I get something like that without any warning whatsoever? Like, isn't Path of Excel 2 something that you have to pay for? I am pretty sure I never paid for that game, but for some reason we have it, and it's not about worrying about the possession of something. It's about the enjoyment of having it in itself. So yeah, just like many other things, one day we're gonna play that. This one more preciously than others, because for sure I want to I want to go through that. I have it still, like, I never dug out those games, but yeah, I do have a whole lot of games that I wanted to play someday on stream. And I don't know, I feel like one of the few complications that I always have when thinking about playing something is I don't really like the idea of just playing them one day of the week throughout 8 months, because they are long games and I can stand playing long games entirely, like here, but I can't stand spacing them out so much as to make something that could be finished in an entire week of continuous streams, let's say, so sporadic as to have it take, I don't know, perhaps 20 streams otherwise. Like, for example, looking back into many of the things that already did happen here, while I am glad that it happened, I'm not entirely glad. I wouldn't repeat that, rather, yeah. I wouldn't repeat playing Half-Life like I used to before, when I was just beginning to stream, where I was playing it for some reason only half an hour or so. Like, yeah, sometimes things don't have to be like that. And separating gaming like that is not something that I am really fond of myself. So yeah, one day we shall start a proper series out of stuff. But I know, I always try to say that this is something for the long run. So next year, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, who knows? At some point, things are gonna get better, things are gonna get clearer, and yeah, we're gonna finally have the possibility of being here at those times, doing those things. For now, all that should actually occupy us is the pure present and the immediate future of this current stream. So yeah, I don't know. As I have been, as I said Monday, today I can repeat. I am quite happy. One of the few things that it does happen consistently enough is the reality that, yeah, happily enough, we have the opportunity of, even if I am not that much here, at least enough things are happening around me that I get to have any time to think out the world. So today we end up having not any necessity for a particular stream of just gaming, where I feel like I have to relax. I come completely electrified, energized, absolutely trembling with intensity from the external world. But rather, all that I carry is just mental, not baggage, activity that has already been shaped into notions and ideas, and yeah, this is one of those. And like that, there might be a handful more before we actually have to return into gaming, but at the same time, I do still have other things that I want to do. Like, I am looking forward, like, I still have no fucking clue. I remain angry at the fact that we didn't get to see the that one monkey tower on the on Bloom's TD6. So yeah, maybe soon enough, perhaps, if nothing happens, tomorrow we're gonna do that. If nothing happens. But who knows, like, that's way too ahead in the future. We haven't even begun talking about anything right now, so it doesn't matter. For now, it doesn't matter. We have not to worry about that future. We have to worry about this even more immediate future of this current conversation and this current idea and such. So yeah, basically, as I said, having sat through this one is one of those many other notions that doesn't really come just from the exact moment of the present, in terms of it's not something that I ought to just think out right now, or let's say right this morning, then we are finally here talking about it at night. No, it's something to some degree spread enough throughout almost every single space of our modern lives, in a way, of our actual lives. There is the lingering idea, concept of burnout in everything, to the degree to which you, I guess, you could say it like this: if you reach adulthood, you must have learned, heard, and perhaps even participated in a conversation about burnout. Because culturally speaking, we are orienting ourselves towards that, not in terms of we are all. There is this basic proposition of Byung-Chul Han, the mainstream pseudo philosopher, that says, yeah, we're in the culture of burnout and whatnot, and tiredness. I don't really agree with that. To some degree, it's true. To some degree, it's not true. Let's say like that. And yeah, therefore, it becomes part of the culture conversations, cultural phenomena which we all know and which we all can point our fingers at. So yeah, point is, that's the main point. And I don't know, before starting actually, because I feel like it's one of the few meaningful things to actually add on before getting deep into it too. I'm quite happy. I have started to read. I finally, I don't know, in the act of wandering throughout the world, you get to have, in many occasions, possibilities for things which always remain possible in terms of you can always choose to do X or Y and such. The reality is, at many of those times, the commodity, the comfortness of the already known other preferable choices take preference. And in this case, I finally went out of my way and I don't know, I started reading some stuff. And one of the few things that I did start reading is higher in terms of time and being. I have heard enough professors and such talk about it, like the vicarious experience of philosophy, where you don't really listen to the author, you listen to what other authors have to say about the main author which you want to explore. That thing happens way too often. Some of them are like unavoidable. For example, if you talk about the Socratics or the pre-Socratics, it's almost always going to be tainted by those perceptions, by those modes of consumption of the knowledge. And not every single author has to be like that, but yeah, sometimes it is like that. And in this case, I started reading Heidegger finally, Time and Being, and I am quite happy. I have to admit it's quite an interesting reading. And what it's important, particularly I tried to emphasize that it has some sort of importance because I have to admit I wasn't expecting being so capable of actually seeing what it said. I was, I assumed it was an incredibly impossible reading, based on what I heard before, the common descriptions of many, many of the philosophers actually that I have gotten to experience seem to go through that filter or through that adjective of, yeah, they are so complicated, they are so challenging to explore. I don't fucking understand how people have sometimes such huge difficulties when exploring them. I don't know, man. I am only 10% into the book. I have 90% left, but for now, besides some words which the translation, the quote-unquote translation, fucking decided to not translate at all, so I had to look them up by myself. Besides that, the ideas and whatnot are understandable, brother. So yeah, I don't know. The point is, we're gonna see how that ends up affecting as many other things. It's always something funny because I feel like if if you are to pay attention to what I mentioned that I have been reading or what I get to describe, I have already gone through also, you are going to encounter in many of those cases, there are a lot of pre and post times in terms of, I don't know, probably you can, in terms of my approach to social discussions, before I ever read anything from, I'm trying to remember the name of the science in a second. I I know the word. I uh-huh. Anthropology, okay, there it is. Cultural anthropology. I mean, what the fuck? What do you do anthropology of? Okay, yeah. Sorry. You do anthropology also of any kind of social construct in itself, in terms of religions and rights and whatnot. Yeah. Anyway, point is, before, as I was trying to argue, if you analyzed how I used to talk about certain topics as, yeah, anything that has to do with social construct and the approach to the conversations about social situations in themselves, there is a pre anthropology readings and post anthropology. So yeah, in this case, I feel like perhaps it's gonna be like that because in a way also it is fundamentally trying to address something that at least so far seems to properly be argued as an interesting topic, which otherwise has remained unaddressed, aka being. What is a being and such, and trying to define and interrogate the question of a being and whatnot. So, I don't know, for the timeline of, in, I don't know, 50 years from now, when somebody actually decides to take their time out of their day to say, what the fuck have you been talking about? Let's see. Because I totally would be doing that so myself. Yeah. This is another landmark that, yeah, I have finally started with that. And I don't know, I'm happy. Basically, it's just another reminder that you too can also, if I, a fucking bumpkin, can understand such books, you might as well also do so. So yeah, I don't know. Go ahead, grab some stuff, get to read. It's beautiful. The world has so much more knowledge to grasp. There are so many more ideas to try to comprehend that you will enjoy the act of going through all of them in its entirety. Do not let go of that, for it is never too late to even give it a try. So yeah, I don't know. That's all that I have to say now, for real. Uh, so before it happens like last time, where I think I only paused like 2 times, let me hydrate. Thank you. So I fucking hate trying to stretch and seeing the fucking microphone pick up the noises. I am a fucking old, completely destroyed body made of flesh and bone, scrambling with the passage of time. You don't need to know that. Anyway, anyway, fuck. It's fine. It's all good. Whatever. We can properly start. We have something interesting actually. Uh, it's gonna be. I don't feel like it's gonna be challenging. It's gonna be way too multifaceted, complicated in terms of nuanced. Yeah, it has way too much to it. So to some degree, we're gonna be trying to talk about proper analysis to apply onto the idea of burnout and whatnot. So I don't know. I feel like to some degree I have some clear concepts. To some degree, I don't entirely have all of the stuff completely analyzed enough to the degree to which you might say, yeah, I come out of this with a better understanding. But it's part of the perspectives that you end up with that lead you, as always, like, I don't repeat it as much, but yeah, one of the fundamental ideas with which I try to approach knowledge, isn't it beautiful to hear multiple bells until you can finally listen to the one that rings the most with you, and then you can adopt what that thing says. In this case, we're talking about tonalities and whatnot, but yeah, you understand the idea. So, yeah, I don't know. Main conversation is, as I said before, about burnout. Does it require a description? I guess so, to some degree. Unavoidably, you cannot have something like, you cannot assume that we are all standing under the same principles and ground of analysis and such. So yeah, when we talk about burnout, it's in its most prevalent form nowadays identified, socially speaking, as this phenomena where you do something, you do a certain activity. The funny thing of it is, in many cases, the activity which you perform, you end up, for different reasons, doing it to the degree to which the continuous, sustained, uninterrupted performance of the activity becomes something then burdensome to you. And at that instant, the proper accumulation of burnout is what we can point at. In a sense, it's not that you do something, it's that you do it to an unhealthy degree, to which you start burning out of the desired capacity, interest to continue doing this thing. And the problem always is, this seems to be a more than prevalent thing in how we operate nowadays. As I said before, the main proposition for most of the social discourse has become, we live in a world in which you are forced to have different types of approaches and different encounters with burnout. From all aspects of society, you are encouraged to burn out on the things that you do and the things that you do, the things that you do and the things that you see and the things that you think about, even sometimes. All that reaches the intellect, so to speak, has now been thrown onto the frail of burning out, for we have become societies of excess almost. There is no proper degree of censorship, not in the term of I must stop this thing, but rather the self-censoring that allows you to say, okay, I don't really need to stay now for the next 20 hours streaming. I can go for 2 and we are good. I can go for 3 and we are good. That degree of censorship, self-censorship, and to some degree also the censorship of those around you, to also act with moderateness so that you can, in one way or another, assist in the act of, again, setting what is a proper limit and such, in what constitutes burnout as such a prevalent problem, we analyze and we find out that indeed nowadays the most common thing is to just have the problem be that, yeah, I want to do something, but I don't really know when, how, why to stop. I just do something until the desire to do this thing completely annihilates itself within me, completely disappears, and I either accomplish what I wanted from what I had been trying to do, or is in itself absolutely demolished from my hands the interest of doing this before I ever got to actually reach anything of importance, before I ever got to actually do anything that brings any sort of proper value to my life from the performance of this action. Like, the only problem, and that's one of the funny things, as I have been trying to say, it's something way too widespread. Like, I don't know, I think I have heard about burnout from watching TV, doing a soap, going to school, reading books, doing a certain type of exercise, doing normal activities, socializing, going out, seeing places, taking vacations. Every single aspect of human life is now being subjected to the analysis and being put under the perspective of, yeah, maybe you can do burnout from the thing that you think you like. Like, you could say like this: burnout is a possibility where there is an enjoyment. Anything that is enjoyed can burn out from being enjoyed in itself. So now all that exists out there is could be victim of burnout from the human experience, let's say. And honestly speaking, well, the wideness of the category is useful enough to have a basic idea. This is where we already can start with the more proper analysis of things. I am amazed by how widespread it has become to demonize the performance of what you actually have an interest on. I was thinking about it. One of the first few things that I remember is, isn't it completely surprising how little faith we get to have on how we approach the things that we like? The one of the few assumptions behind burnout is you're incapable of actually learning how to balance out doing what you want and not doing what you want. Not different idea, doing what you want and doing what you don't want, but rather doing and stopping to do, or stopping, refraining from doing what you want, so that you can then return to what you want to do while retaining that same amount of enjoyment. Okay, in that handful of notions, already there is a situation that feels, I feel strange when I think about it. One of the few things that I mentioned before is not under this conversation, but yeah, something surprisingly prevalent has been how devoid of tools we have started to consider ourselves. It's like you might fall victim to burnout no matter how old you are, which is true in itself to some degree, but it doesn't mean that you will always have the possibility of burning out. It's not like, yeah, no matter what you do, you might always burn out on everything. To some degree, it's a correct statement, but not because it really is in itself an actually correct expression in terms of this will always have the possibility of happening. There is something funny out the human capacity of just thinking out stuff, of learning out stuff, and that is the most basic first step when it comes to all of this analysis. Don't we all have the capacity to just sit down and analyze how to go about things, how to progress through the stuff that we get to experience one way or another, don't we have in multiple ways the possibility of just not being so forced to unconsciously move throughout existence? Isn't it strange that if you know that you might burn out, there is no offering for any kind of tool that could help you diminish those possibilities of, potentially then burning out? It's surprisingly, in all honesty, it's disgusting to see how elevated to an unavoidable state it gets, the idea of burnout. Not because it is a problem. It can actually be a hugely influential thing in your life. Like, one of the most basic ideas of it, or one of the core principles behind why anybody should have any interest on it is, let's say that you can finally identify in your life something that you really care about, right? Something that you really want to do. The whole je ne sais quoi, or the whole dream that you want to follow and such. If you were to never realize that you might be slowly burning out on that passion, that you might be slowly running out of fuel without giving yourself any possibility to actually slow down and actually approach a far healthier analysis of what you are hoping to accomplish, what you are interested in doing, what you get a thrill out of performing. In the final stage, if you truly fail to realize this in something so core to your own existence, then yes, we might even be talking about you might have actually burned out on that handful of reasons, or that singular reason which keeps you going. AKA, you might as well finally burn out on anything holding you back from the final ideation of suicide, from the final moment of, you know what, this is fucking shit. I don't like any more of this world. I don't like any more being around. I have no more reason to keep trying or keep going, for this finally now I can see has all been so meaningless. So yeah, it's great that we can say that burnout is a dangerous thing to have happen to anyone. But at the same time, it's, again, I return to the same idea. It's not like in no way whatsoever you can try to help yourself, try to avoid getting to that final result or anything. It's weird to see that the common analysis, common saying, common perspective is, keep in your mind that you might burn out. Keep in your mind that you might run out of interest, out of fuel, out of hope, out of anything. Keep in mind that that might happen. Without anything else, like, almost, I feel like you could, to some degree, be saying that it is a ridiculization of it. But to some other degree, it's not really that much far away from what society offers you from the basic analysis of burnout. It's the same as having the lingering realization of something like 5 billion years from now, the sun is gonna engulf all planets when it finally turns into a supernova, you know? Or all the three nearest planets to it when it slowly morphs into a supernova. That same idea applied to this analogy of, you might burn out in anything and everything that you want and like and hope for. Isn't it so nothing? Like, out of context, if you have no other clue about how things operate, it's terrible, it's horrible. It's capable of making you lose your hunger, so to speak, making you lose your sleep and such. It's not something great, but it's not much either way. It's in its most basic form presented, and everything else gets discarded for some reason. In reality, while it is true, again, I'm not trying to say that burnout is not as significant for now, but funnily enough, there is this simplification, oversimplification of it to, yeah, this can just happen and that's it. What? Don't we have enough mechanisms to try to navigate the problem? Don't we have enough ideas, enough basic notion? Don't we have enough people who have already gone through that, approached such thresholds for themselves, and come out the other way alive to narrate enough stories to find out ways in which this can be avoided, survived, surpassed, healed back from and such? It's astonishing to see how little mention is there of that. It's, in a way, what I find myself thinking of the most is that it all operates simply, purely, and only under the disguise of yet another fear-mongering campaign, not a meaningful notion or a substantial idea to have for what you care about and or such. It only exists as, yeah, don't you forget that what you love might one day leave you because you have been doing it too much. Are you really enjoying the things that you're enjoying? You're being a stupid person, for in the end you are also bound to lose what you want. All the ephemerous experiences in existence are bound to leave us. The briefness of the human beings is such that, and in such ideas, the wonderfulness of the reductionism that gets applied to burnout makes it so that it gets confused with everything else. Burnout is a problem. Burning out is a bad situation, absolutely, but it's not so dramatically overwhelming. I have a hugely insane deal of hatred towards the idea of, yeah, you know what? There is no going back after you have burned out. What? How can we so willingly give such hopeless messages to others? Once again, most important point here, not because, wow, it's 1999 and we have just realized that something like burnout might exist. We come from a point in civilization where all of us were simply shoving our way forward without ever realizing how completely demolished we were by our history already. And we have no possibility of seeing any other kind of example. No, we have already such a huge backlog of other biographies, other analyses performed by human beings as equal as us when it comes to these ideas and such, that strive and analyze these same things. We are not that incapable of surviving something like burning out. We are not that incapable of surviving something like actually running out of the fuel of hope or interest for the things that you used to care about before, that you used to be capable of doing before. It's not just weird to see it all absent in the conversations that we have, but upsetting, because indeed there is such a wide array of data available out there that it's not entirely impossible to say, yeah, you know what, it's dangerous. But even if you have already found yourself in that place, it's not all that there is. You have completely screwed up, and it's fucking over for you. Almost, I feel like it's the completely wrong conclusion, but at the same time, one of the worst things that happens with that reductionism and that uncaringness carried forward with it is, how can I change my mind once I find myself in that position, that there is any other thing to do, that there is any other hopeful message to go for, that there is any other change to apply to my life scores at that time. It's currently, we're almost setting the idea of burnout as our social guillotine, in a way, as our social way of executing and excluding those who had to exist, who got to before exist, but now have finally ruined themselves to never again be capable of enjoying their existence around us. It's completely horrible as an idea in many ways how it operates, because not even once I really remember currently having heard, yeah, this person burned out in conversations with, in average conversations with others. Yeah, do you know this guy? They burned out on this thing, and that was it for them. There is no, again, in the day-to-day encounters, there is no actual appreciation for it in a way in which it doesn't get boiled down into, yeah, you burned out, you fucked it up, your entire life is over, all that you did has lost its importance, and it's all shadowed over by the fact that you did a burnout. You are a complete screw up socially, humanly, in all senses. So, that's it for you. It's amazing how that works. It's surprisingly insulting, even, how that gets to operate. Without actually being all that much important of a thing in itself. Again, it's first most basic idea. In reality, one of the main principles that I always try to drive forward in these conversations is, we're in the times of, yeah, you might get to realize that indeed there is such a wide array of information available. You might actually have an opportunity of delving into things that talk about what you care about, that talk about what you want to know about, that talk about the stuff that you're trying to explore, that try to talk about the stuff that you're trying to, in one way or another, realize and such, so that you can solve them in this case, therefore meaning that, yeah, indeed, you might find some sort of resources speaking, addressing the reality that, yes, maybe it's not the end. Burning out is not the final point for a life. It's not what comes at the very end of all of this, and nothing else remains but to have burned out on your life's essence, so to speak. It's not that, and it does not deserve to be treated as such. I actually have to say also, one of the few more irritating aspects of this is not just how prevalent that is, which it is, but also how much of a presentation it gets to have along the lines and in the order of, and also, you know what? Burning out is presented only as the final drama to go through. There is no other thing to worry about beyond that. There is no other thing to hope. There is no, again, there is no balance, there is no proper solution to it, there is no proper avoidance of it, nothing. You might Funnily enough, even, you might say it like this. It almost feels like very slowly setting it up as the guardrails for life in a way in which you might say, and soon enough you might be capable of speaking out. Ah, yeah, all of us are going to burn out on what we like, and all of us are going to have to suffer through the deterioration of ourselves and through the abandonment of what we used to have any sort of interest on. All of us must burn out to live. And not in a healthy way, not in an acceptable manner of, yeah, you did what you cared for, and that's it. No, all of us will become husks of our former selves, and all of us, every single human being existing and yet to exist, will have to experience the departure from what they used to be before, from the grandiosity of their properly realized humanity, as they get to exhaust that flame of hope and interest that drove them forward in their prime. All humans have to kill at some point the illusion that they will get to ever be like that, for there is nothing but that loss of being in itself which we get to have through the process of burning out, through the life essence of ours. No. It's astonishingly depressing as an idea in itself. And again, I don't even agree with that. I came here. I wanted to talk about this particularly because I do feel like it's entirely misleading. One of the few things I have already said like 4 times, so I'm not going to spend so much more time explaining it and detailing the notion. Yeah, it doesn't operate as something so atrocious, something so oppressive. The moment in which you burn out, in reality, it's not the very end of it. If I have to say something with enough caution into it, yeah, if you can realize that you're burning out, it might as well not be late enough. There are occasions in which, indeed, burning out can be the final event of the life of somebody. And that's an accurate statement in terms of, yeah, you might actually have killed that last bit of interest, that last anchor that keeps you here. And that can be certainly what makes your heart in one way stop having a reason to keep beating. And that's real, but that doesn't mean that it will happen unequivocally to every single person and unavoidably. It's, to begin with, it's something that can be actually understood and analyzed before it gets to occur. It's something that we have nowadays enough of a capacity to inspect from a distant enough perspective that it lets you see, okay, not only how might a generic person burn out, how might a generic person burn out in the particular situations which I like to do, how might a generic person with some of the conditions which I have myself, some of the experiences, some of the flaws, some of the things that I like to do myself, burn out, some of the particularities, we have enough of a profile, deep, profound, clear enough to be capable of constructing a picture that allows a proper analysis and detailing of that final conclusion. Indeed, nowadays maybe you can end up with something that stops being just about the genericness of the human being and at some point leads to the final realization of, okay, how might I burn myself out? Where is it that I need to pay attention to? And final, oh wow, unsurprisingly, you get to see how that happens. Now you get to understand, to ask yourself, to think out, how can I avoid making that be the case? How can I avoid making that occur? How can I help myself not burn out? Wow, is it so surprising to say? Is it so astonishing to realize, to mention, to acknowledge in any way? It's for some reason, as I keep trying to say, socially speaking, the reductionism of it gets only to the idea of, yeah, you know what? You might burn out, and that's it. What? Do you want to give me any other kind of tool? Do you want to actually see me make any kind of effort to avoid this problem? Or do you want me to just live in fear with the constant anxiety and tremors of not ever knowing how I might actually finally reach the end of my mental capacity to keep pushing forward? No, no, no. Just figure it out by yourself somehow, and that's it. That's all that you will have. What? It's not just depressing, it's disappointing. Because in itself, again, we have so many more other tools already available to try and talk out this, to try and analyze this problem in itself. But anyway, give me a second. Not only that, yeah, the reality that in many cases you can also even get to understand it's a mechanism. It's part of the human nature. Nowadays, we have, if anything, we can admit that it is ingrained to how we move throughout existence. It's something that you might experience at some point, true enough, acceptable enough a statement. That much is right, but it's not something that is either unavoidable, either entirely desirable, either entirely destructive, and in the moment in which you find yourself in that state makes you yourself irredeemable from, it's not something so catastrophic. It's something just that comes to bring a light to yet another one of the functions of the current life that we have to live, and that is welcome to having the possibility of doing what you actually like. Welcome to the world in which you are not so forced to be submitted into just following the handful of rules that, if you do not follow, might lead to the end of your very existence. It's not so complicated. It's not so drastic again. And inside of all of this conversation, returning to the main point, it's therefore understandable that, yeah, burning out might occur, but it doesn't mean that it is as bad. It doesn't mean, even if I know that it could occur, that I have to be completely terrified by its possibility of existence. As I already defined, firstly, you can already get to make a clear picture of how you could avoid it, of how you could not let yourself fall prey to that. It's incredibly simple. Not something that I feel like gets very confused is simplicity with shortness. It's not a short process. It's not a simple process in itself, in terms of, yeah, you just do one step and that's it. It's simple because the actions that lead you to the realization for how to deal with burnout in itself are absolutely solid and are absolutely basic. You just learn how things work out of this, and that's it. You don't have to worry about finding yourself in that space anymore. And anyways, besides trying to avoid it, assuming we say, okay, we find ourselves here. We are finally in the state in which we started to slowly kill what we used to like, what we used to care for, what we used to have an interest in doing before. Is it over? No, not really. Not really. Surprisingly enough, the human being has the capacity to fuck up incredibly bad without actually destroying themselves, without actually making everything be over just by that one instance of an error that occupies their existence. It can be the case that you might be slowly burning out on what you like, but it doesn't make you instantaneously prohibited from retracting or prohibited from now trying to reach that same sort of understanding that anyone who acts preemptively could have, could harvest, and could create. It's the formula. That's one of the other sides of the implication. The formula of, yeah, because if you are slowly burning out, you're already so screwed, brother. What? Isn't it fantastic? Like, one of the... I tried to avoid mentioning it, but at the same time, it's... At this point, mostly, it's absolutely crucial, both here and for the later point. It's absolutely important. The idea of, if you're burning out, you're killing a part of you permanently. You're losing your possibilities of doing something permanently. It's astonishingly irritating to see how many of those actually exist simply because of how little it gets to happen. That, yeah, you did burn out enough to lose some of your capacities. Like, one of the very few examples which can apply to this is, let's say that you are one of the few, I think it's universal enough, if you're something like a dancer, somebody who dedicates their entire life to the act itself of performing on a stage through certain rhythms and such, right? If you were in one way or another to hurt your legs, your feet, in such a manner that you might completely destroy your tendons, it might finally then happen that you have burned out through your capacity, and it is an irreparable damage that it can't be reverted, and there is nothing else to do. Not only is that one of the few examples in which that actually gets to happen, it's also something incredibly funny that in nowadays world, with all the developments in both technology and treatments and similar, it doesn't even sustain as much of a validity. What do you have to actually break? What do you have to actually tear within yourself to lose such capacities? Because nowadays we have the examples of incredibly famous artists, and in this case, obviously, speaking out dancers, performers who already went through similar events and still were capable of doing something like a comeback, still were capable of experiencing something like success. Isn't it astonishing to think that, yeah, you know what? It's over for you if you fail. Not so much. Sadly, no matter how much of a propaganda there is behind the idea that failure is perhaps the worst thing to encounter in the existence of the adult being, what the world returns when you actually analyze what happens within it is that, no, sadly, against all the given descriptions of this other side, it's not so much the case. It's not so surely the case. And then thus, this means that certainly it's not so impossible, firstly, to have the capacity to analyze yourself while you are doing things. It's this other side of the simplification and this other side of the completely depressing aspect of you know what maybe you somehow get to burn out, and there is not only nothing that we can do. When you are burning out, you will not even realize that you're burning out. You're a puppet of your desires, and there is nothing else to you. You're only going to do what you want, even if you know that what you're doing for the sake of your interests is slowly destroying yourself from the very insides. What are you talking about? Aren't we literally one of the few characteristics of the human being the act of rationality and conscious analysis of things in such profundity? Isn't what makes all of this in any way meaningful and useful? Isn't that what gives this in any way the sort of sense that makes it reversible to begin with? Isn't it fun to know that, you know what, maybe you find yourself finally burning out on what you're doing. That's it. You find yourself there, and you can slowly retreat. You can slowly change your ways to stop burning out. You can slowly avoid burning out even more before things get worse enough that you might actually hinder yourself. Like, I guess this is one of the few instances in which it comes forward. The analysis of, you know what, burning out will always equal to your departure from the interest, from what you wanted to do forever. What? That's not actually how it operates, how it makes you be, how it affects you. It is the case that you might as well do something so tremendously bad to yourself that indeed you could just remove from yourself all interest from ever performing this activity ever again. The funny word of trauma appearing of, you might traumatize yourself to such a degree, you might burn out in such a grandiose manner that there will be no response from a positive place within you, and there will only be a negative response whenever you try again after having burned out to approach this same topic, activity, sensation, anything. Is that true? Sadly, that is also not entirely an accurate description in itself, because funnily enough, one of the few things that does happen within these boundaries of the notion of burning out is that, no, sadly, not always you kill everything within yourself. Not always you destroy all that makes you have an interest on something. In some occasions, you actually have something incredibly funny happen, and that is, you get to realize why the thing that you care about makes any sense for you, and how is it that you actually want in some way or another to keep going forward. You want in some way or another to make it not be anymore what makes you stop at the action which you used to prefer And indeed, you do have the possibility of solving the situation, even if it happens that you have already burned out on the thing that you liked and the thing that you wanted and such. It's astonishing to find it so dramatized into this perspective, into this final degree of existence of yeah, you know what? You have burned out. It's over. It's that's it. There is nothing else to do. You fucked up. And I don't know. As I was saying, it's certainly not only while it happens, but after you have found yourself there. Not the end. It's the you might say it like this. I feel like it's way too grandiose, but at the same time not entirely too far away from what happens. It's the new universal representation which every single person has to fear in one way or another. That element that we all know to dread, for we might all burn out in one way or another. And there is no need to think about it in any other perspective, for it is easier to just assume that it is such a huge problem rather than confronting it as something that is just another hindrance in existence, and that's it. It's not the end, it's not so big, it's not so bad, it's not so destructive. It's horrible to see it being treated as something so completely hurtful. But I don't know. Give me. We're gonna take our first break, so yeah, give me a second. After that, I'm gonna be back. Thank you. Also, why is the guitar here? It doesn't matter. We're gonna have the guitar, I guess. Yeah, see you in. Wait. I need to change one of the arrows. There we go. See you in a bit. How much is a bit? I don't know, a minute or so. Yeah, I gotta take an idle break, so see you soon enough. Haha. Uh, Good evening. I'm back. I took more than a minute because I was stretching and also trying to calm down. Because I don't know, I don't really think it's all that good to be constantly screaming. But anyway, returning. Where did we leave? I don't know. No, I know entirely too well because it's one of the few stream of consciousness that I do have most thoughts about in recent times, I guess. So yeah. Anyway, as I was saying, I don't know. I feel like therefore, yeah, it's surprising to see it become that biggest of the demons in a way. I was one of the other analyses that comes forward is this treatment of burning out as the final societal problem, the final movable object which we will have to accept has come to end humanity for once, for it is what we all operate under. This particularly, without any name, the idea of you might as well see that not only do we get to burn out, do we get to kill ourselves in the process of so headlessly, mindlessly, cluelessly following what we like, but also in the act of doing this same thing, it might also occur that indeed you entirely kill, entirely make perish your possibility of treating it as something so bad. This, when you talk about sects and sectary thinking, there is something incredibly present in those conversations. It's the idea of you don't create arguments, you create irrefutable logical shields, and in this case, it operates under that same constant. The idea of how, yeah, you know what? You are trying to treat something like burnout as not the biggest drama of the life of any single human being. You're fucked up. You're mentally speaking a corrupt person. You're socially speaking a despicable human being. You're somebody who has something intrinsically wrong in themselves. You're someone who has someone who has somehow certainly found a way to make everyone else also have a much worse existence, for you are ensuring not only that they burn out, but also that they get in no way to talk about it, for now the burning out itself is being treated as an acceptable thing, and you are killing others. You are putting the rope in the neck of your comrades, for you are forcing them to march forward without any regard for their safety, and such argumentations of those same sorts, where the whole idea is, yeah, you cannot treat the mere idea of burnout as something that is of the utmost importance, that is so horrible. You're in the wrong. Isn't it wonderful to see it converted into the biggest demon of our time somehow? There are no bigger problems like, I don't know, have you ever heard about this concept, idea, current world event called war? Have you never seen something like an actual famine? Have you never seen those sort of things? Have you not gotten the possibility of experiencing those aspects of reality? Because I am pretty sure that if you have the possibility of somehow reverting while existing in a state of pleasure onto a lower strata, lower straits, lower modicum, more moderated, mild-mannered area of being, of doing, of exercising your abilities in a certain field, I am pretty sure that's not as bad as those other problems. And something tells me, some part of me has me feeling like it might be the case. You could tell me, you could give me all the arguments, perhaps, and that's how we could settle this for once. But for now, I'm get to feel like it is entirely the demon of our current times. That, yeah, you are literally almost where you want to be, doing everything that you hope to do. So much that you are killing your interest in doing it anymore. And that's bad. That's the worst thing that could happen. Are you sure about that? But it's fine. It happens, again, that it gets treated as such, and somehow it gets converted into this immovable final flaw that we can finally make ourselves conscious of in the current times, and there is nothing else, for we are all headed to that. And I don't think so. Again, I have already given my argumentations as to how you can both avoid it before it happens, solve it when it happens, and to some degree, moderately enough, think about the whole other perspective of, and funnily enough, even if you are to see yourself already having burned out on something, it doesn't mean that you're entirely devoid of ever again trying, attempting, having an interest on that or anything like that. The over-exaggerated oversimplification given to any of these ideas on the lines of, yeah, you know what? If you were to burn out, if you were to somehow be tired, what you will encounter actually is just gonna be an absence of any interest. Today, you burn out on this thing that you like, and never again in your entire fucking life will you have any interest in doing this. Never again. You have 20 years, and there will never, in the rest of your 60, 70, 90 years of existence, a moment in any of those conscious seconds of life of yours, even a hint of interest in doing this again. That's how severe you're going to burn. No, for sure not. Certainly, despite the tremendousness and severity with which we try to think about burning out, it doesn't happen like that. It doesn't actually occur in those levels, to those marathons, with that much profundity. It doesn't mean, just as a tiny clarification, it doesn't mean that you might never again find yourself there. There is a handful of things that could undergo such a process, but first and foremost, something funny that happens is, and you know what? Today, I finish stream. Tomorrow, I will force myself to become a marathon runner, because I thought it could have been a good idea, and for the next 2 years of my life I will dedicate myself to that. And after 2 more years I will slowly start to feel tired of that, and in no point in time I will really keep asking myself if that is really what I want. Then after 2 more years, already 6 years of my life, I might encounter that I'm slowly but surely accumulating more and more and more and more tiredness and more distaste for this thing. I don't really give myself the opportunity of ever analyzing why, how, when did this even occur, if there was truly an interest for this at all. But I know that I have to continue. At some point I must do it. Then, after 2 more years, 8 long, painful years of my fucking life I have given to something, can finally sit down and say, I'm done with this. And the treatment as, yeah, you were so passionate about this. Did you pay attention at the moment in which I told you, no, maybe I don't know if I actually like this. Maybe I didn't even try to stop and think if this is what I wanted or not. And that's treated, yeah, all you did was burnout. You meant to say that I should have continued doing something that I maybe never fucking cared about simply because, yeah, you already were doing it. What? How incredibly unwilling are you to talk about the aspect of human enjoyment in any way? Because, yeah, part of the fun, part of the solution is, okay, if you actually know what you like, maybe next time it doesn't happen to you. Maybe you don't get to actually kill that all in its absoluteness. Maybe I finish a stream. It has been 3 years. I am tired of sitting here. There is no more streams. For how long? I burn out. I find myself tired. For how long exactly? Isn't that the modus operandi of most of our societies? I get exhausted, but then I can return. It's literally how most people get to move through their days, get exhausted from one thing and go to another, until you can finally return to what you liked before, to what you wanted to keep doing. Burning out, being treated as the demon, is absurd in so many levels. It's ignorant. And we have, I feel like, one of the points also that falls under this I will admit this, actually. It's cautiously the final one for me. Because I know I have said all of this about burning out. It is not us, but and no, wait, there is one more. I have to before getting to the last one, actually, the second to last point, because I do have to address that. Actually, I did think about it. Excuse me. There is this, seriously, yeah, the predominant attitude towards what I mentioned before, and you have to do things until you burn out. The other side of the coin of, it's not so bad to burn out, you know what? You have to completely be as irrational, as careless with doing what you have found an interest on until there is no more interest in you. This other far more wonderful side of this same analysis of why burnout makes some sense present in the life of us, where in the end, maybe, you know what, you could actually use burning out and what you like for now that you're burning out, now that you have finding yourself completely unwilling to do any more of what you have been continuously performing before, there is nothing else but for you to finally give up on that. Maybe you exhausted all that there was, and this comprehension of, okay, you gave it all that you have. You gave it all that there was in you, and you shall never again think about this thing. It's, I want to say it like this, the confusion between just burning out, just damaging yourself for the sake of never stopping, and an actually far more unhealthy attitude towards, yeah, you know what? This thing that you actually enjoy, you have to remove from yourself forcefully by eliminating any possible future interest of ever performing this through the relentless performance of it right now, for as long as it remains enjoyable in the present, then that's all that matters to it. If tomorrow you die and you didn't do all that you could to enjoy what you have in front of you today, then your life was shit. No, certainly. It's not just an absurd proposition, but also a completely hurtful one in that sense. Because it's also a confusion between properly finishing and closing the circle, ending something, and okay, you know what? Life is so confusing. Maybe there is no other way than for you to exterminate all of your interest on this thing before you have to move on. It's, you will see it as this. One of the presented solutions for the complexity of life is to give you the tool of burning out on all that you care about, so that you don't have to worry about actually finding out where is your limit and why might you actually stop. When is it okay to say, until here I can go, and this is all that I have to offer, and after this I will live satisfied having done my best. It's better to part on bad terms earlier than to do so tastefully with enough patience. For maybe, despite the anger and irritation and frustration that comes with voluntarily burning out on what you like, maybe then you finally get to see what else is there for you. That other predominant message is not something that I entirely agree with, not something that I think is all that acceptable, not something so right. But as I said, that's the second to last message, because now it's the actual final one. But at the same time, actually, but at the same time, in reality, there is also the sad aspect of, as I already mentioned that, and it's so nullifying to find yourself treated as if you were utterly incapable of ever assuming that you could do anything for yourself, to not just be destroyed by what you are failing on. It's necessary burnout. It's mandatory to experience something like that, and it's fine. It's actually acceptable. It's survivable enough. And sometimes I entirely admit, sometimes you have to burn out on things. You have to see. It's on one side, you can call it burning out. On the other side, you can actually try to name it, I can finally give myself the opportunity to go all out and see how much do I truly care about what I say that I care. It's something intrinsically related to the aspect of getting to define what makes you be who you are, to encounter, to directly go yourself consciously towards the realization, grasp of, what is that I want for my life? Sometimes you have to do that, and sometimes it's fine, and sometimes it's actually something that leads to great results. It's even more annoying to find it all dumped down into, no, don't you get out of your bubble of comfort, for there is nothing else but your bubble of comfort, and if you are to ignore that, you might as well hurt yourself so badly that you will never again want to do anything else of significance. What? Isn't this the time in which we are the freest for doing most of the things that we have ever hoped for? Isn't it necessary to see, finally, how much you can actually, in multiple ways, inflict the challenges of life upon yourself? Isn't it fine to have that be? But it all gets just assumed, seen, and perceived as, no, yeah. Don't you dare burn out. Don't you dare consume the flame. Sometimes, in the encounter with yourself, it's fiercely necessary to abandon all that you do not care about, all that you do not truly embody in any way, nor have an interest on. And if you don't burn out of those meaningless aspects, you cannot ever reach an honest realization of that sort. Okay. Yeah, so yeah, I guess that's it. I don't know, I don't have much more to say. I guess that's it for now. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think I didn't leave anything behind, so we are good enough. It's great. So yeah, thank you. It has been a very good one. I have to admit. As I said before, yeah, I was thinking about it, and I don't know. I feel like it's one of those actually useful ones. Polysemous, multifaceted. It's one meaning, multiple meanings in itself. Also, let me, like, it has to have a dictionary description. Let me Google it up. Polysemous. Google Cambridge Dictionary. A polysemous word has more than one meaning. A highly polysemous word such as play. The term, right, is polysemic and ambiguous. That's what that means. So yeah. Stealth, probably, also, yeah. Ay. What do you want me to talk about stealth? What the fuck are you talking about? What do you want me to talk about stealth? What do you want me to talk about on stealth? What? Shut up, crybaby. Now, in this house, we love directness. No, I'm not really direct most of the time. I, yeah, I think it actually is useful. Like, in the encounter of the things that the world has, most of it is stealthily, so to speak. You are offered many things, and most of those are also veiled through other things. Like, it is only by a very keen eye that you can actually pick up what is being stealthily hidden away, and only then that actually matters. If you get to realize and if you decide to pick up what that is. And I don't know, on the other side, yeah, I don't really feel like when it comes to oneself being like that, it does have that much of a significance, because in the end, it's just yet another way of living. Like, in the widest sense, you can fly under the radar, as they will say, right? And is that really meaningful? I guess so. It's not like it's a necessity in any way. It's useful, but as useful as being completely direct and blunt can be, it's dependent on times. I don't know. In current times, is it better to be exposed or to live stealthily? I guess so. Simply for the sake of your own safety. Something about trying to keep a clear enough observation out how to stealthily subsist is worth enough having. But at the same time, I don't know. I feel like the current world emphasizes way too much something like, yeah, you know what? Let me kill myself in order to achieve as much stealthiness as I can for the oppressing system, otherwise will get to me. No, it's not that necessary to be so cemented onto the desire to disappear onto the greenery of the world. It's great to a degree. Mild take, probably. At the same time, it's because it's complicated to define where is that limit. And also, that other aspect of where really does the limit exist, if in the end, nowadays we get slowly more and more pushed in different directions, because no one actually cares about that. So yeah, I don't know. That's my take. Thank you. Thumbs up. If you like my raid post, remember to give me a raid gold. Thank you. So yeah. Also, I didn't say it. Sorry. Welcome, say. Hope you're fine. Yeah. But yeah, I guess if nothing else, we are done. If I showed someone a picture of you, do you think they would think you're straight? Probably. I don't know. What do you mean? Perhaps. For sure. Yeah. I don't know. Its appearances can be deceiving, so who knows? Perhaps not. Maybe not. It can happen. What the fuck? Unbelievable. My life is over. I can't do anything else. It's time to graduate tomorrow. Graduation stream at 9 p.m. Find it only here. No. Yeah, I don't know. I've got much more to go now. So yeah, I guess we are, uh, we are, we are what remains done for anything else has already been, and anything that has to be has yet to become. So all that remains is for us to keep being, but somewhere else. So yeah, no, thank you for everything. It was a very good one. Thank you, and I don't know. You have to read, perhaps you have to read. Where? What a wonderful question. I have no clue, brother. Somewhere in a Liam. Oh my god. We have to raid that guy. No, 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 no. Maybe. I want to. Oh my god. Maybe. Yes. No. Yes. Oh my god. Perhaps. But no, 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 no. No. You have to remember. You have to remember. Be mindful. It's better to do something more useful. What's more useful? I don't know. After raiding him. Ay. But it's Kino. You should watch that guy. Don't watch me anymore. Watch that guy. Watch Liam. Yeah, I only bring anxiety to your life. Don't watch me. Anyway, yeah, thank you. It was. I put the entire fucking Twitch link. I am amazing. My favorite. I have. No, I do have a favorite actually. What's Sissy Morin? Timurin. Timurin, everyone. No, yeah, I think that's the goat, and if not that, I have slowly been learning, and also, why the fuck did I say learn? Watching about. What are you talking about? Watching Ina. That's also my second target to say that I like. So yeah, thank you very much. Now let me fucking raid, motherfucker. So yeah, anyway, that's it. Thank you for everything, guys. So yeah, it was a very good one. No, wait. How much time do we have? 3 seconds. Chinese. She could be Marathon for all that I care. It's not. It's a great Vtuber. What you didn't say American, so it's fine. Anyway, give me a second. Thank you everyone for everything. It has been a very good day. Remember to hydrate, to rest, to go out there, to I don't know, to be, to exist, to don't get weighed down by existence, to all the amazing stuff that happens once you go and experience the world. That's what matters, and whenever you can, we're getting back in it. Even if we don't, it doesn't matter. Like CC. Yeah, I don't know, because I'm ESL, sorry. But anyway, all that remains is we're going to King Grey playing Marvel Rivals. Marvel's Low Pitch Kino! No, it's not Kino, but it's good enough. Anyway, goodbye. Have a great one. Wait. If I hit the radio now, what happens? Also, what the fuck is up with the Twitch bot? Doesn't matter. Yeah. Sorry, YouTube bot. There is no fucking raid. One day. No, they won't implement cross-platform. So, fuck